Steven Portillo, welcome back to Surge Media, and here today we are going to rank every Madrid signing or potential signing that's going on here in the summer transfer window. After last season was just a complete mess for Real Madrid. I made a bunch of videos and stating that the main issue was Carlos Ancelotti. For me, as much as important wise and trophy winnings and everything Carlos Ancelotti has done for Real Madrid in the past couple of years, especially in his first stint at Real Madrid. He's won Real Madrid 3 Champions League. He's won Real Madrid league titles, everything. But one thing I disagreed on, one thing I hated upon with Carlos Ancelotti is how he used his team, his play style, and just so many negative things about Real Madrid. Winning, of course, is important. It's the main thing. But key things is how you win and how you utilize and how you set up your team. And last season was just a complete mess. Last season was just a ticking time on what I've been saying is going to happen. 2 seasons prior, when Real Madrid won the Champions League, you still want to say last season, not like the current season that just ended, but the season before that, with Real Madrid winning the Champions League. Real Madrid lost 1 La Liga game. But I completely hated the way how Carlos Ancelotti used his team. I didn't like how Real Madrid performed. I didn't like how he used his bench players. I didn't like how he didn't use his young talent. And seasons before that, since he's joined, I did not want Carlos Ancelotti as the main man in the job. Sure. You can't disagree. He's won the 2 Champions League, more than most teams have won in the past decade. But for me, how you win is just as important. And last season was just it finally hit him. It finally hit him that you can't keep on relying on the same players week in and week out. You can't keep on playing players out of position. If you keep using the same players, injuries happen. Situations like this will happen, and then that's what happened. Playing wise too. He decides to play players that are underperforming and thinks that playing them just keep on playing them constantly is going to fix the thing. It's not going to work. You need to change something. If Vini's underperforming and he's underperforming for 4 games in a row, you got to drop him. If Bellingham's underperforming, you got to drop him. If Mbappe was underperforming, you got to drop him. Mbappe picked up form. Vini, for me, towards the last 5 games you want to say end of the season, it looked like he was a little bit going back to his original self, how he was performing years prior. But this whole year, even in 2025, Vini has looked terrible. I look terrible. So I hate when I see him in Ballon d'Or rankings in the top 10 in La Liga's player of the season, because he was just not it for Real Madrid. I hated the way how he played. Vinicius Jr. was just a ghost and was just not a good player. And Carlos Ancelotti would use the team how playing, in the Champions League night when you Mendy's out. For me, I don't think he should even be starting for Real Madrid, but that's his main guy. You have an option as Fran Garcia, which I do rate, and I think that if you give him more playing time, he will perform. He will perform as good if you just give him playing time. But I was gonna button up here. He decides to play a center mid or a center back that just came back from ACL injury, which I just don't agree with. I don't agree with that. You have a proper left back. His main position is left back, and he's good. You bought him back for what? Not to play him? And then you decide to play a center back who's aging, who's had 1 start all season in one of the most important games in the season. I don't understand that, and I lost so much respect for Carlos Ancelotti right there. Same with young players like Arda Güler not getting chances, Endrick not getting chances. Arda Güler started performing amazing when he finally started playing him towards the end of the season, which was just the last thing to do. You should have played him earlier. But yeah, enough with that. Xabi Alonso's in, so we're going to talk about these new players that are rumored or officially confirmed to be coming in Real Madrid. Number 1, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Here, we're going to look at FootMob, the main ones, Jose, this was last season. But, Trent Alexander was huge, rumored into Real Madrid for, if you want to say years now, it's really years, but heavily linked this past year. For me, if it was still Carlos Ancelotti, I would not want Trent in Real Madrid. I think under Carlos, Trent would not perform. I did say a year prior, if Trent does join Real Madrid, I would want Xabi Alonso as the coach, because I think that it would just work well in his system. Under Carlos Ancelotti, I don't think Trent or Real Madrid as a whole would not perform as good. I wanted Real Madrid to use a young talent instead. There's so many, there's a learns academy players, if you want to say deserve a chance, they should. But Trent under Xabi Alonso's system, I feel completely fine with, and I think Trent will do really good there, especially pairing with Jude Bellingham. You know how good Trent is in the attack and getting the ball in the middle, setting up plays. Defending is the main issue, but I do think that Trent Alexander-Arnold will 100% work on that. Is Real Madrid, and yeah, so that's on the thumbnail I put him D ranking, but that's if Carlos Ancelotti stayed. But for me, Trent will do. I think he'll do great under Xabi Alonso, and that's just for a little clickbait. Dean Huijsen. Dean, however you want to say his name, Huijsen. I kind of say as Rasmus Højlund, but this is Huijsen, something like that. Who knows? I think he's Danish or Dutch. Dean, but I thought I heard something. Um, but with Dean, he's been a prospect for years now under Juventus, under uh, Roma. Jose Mourinho wanted him to stay at Roma for longer, but Juventus decided to sell him to Bournemouth, which is really, I've seen a lot of Juventus fans in the past, this year, saying that Dean Huijsen would have been the next big thing for Juve in the center back role, and they're surprised that they sold him. That was one of the biggest regrets Juventus would have done, and it turned out to be true. You sold him for like what, 12, 15 million to Bournemouth just to sign Lloyd Kelly in the summer or in the January transfer window. It's just it's embarrassing under Juve's part, and I don't agree with some of the things. Sure, if you want to say Thiago Motta, you can. Treating him the way Chiesa was treated. Um, if you want to, Nicolo Fagioli, to Fiorentina in January. So many players were just like forced to leave Juve, and Thiago Motta got the sack either way. But with that, he had a brilliant season. I think he was Bournemouth's best player of the year, one of the best center backs in the Premier League. I thought he was going to join like a Liverpool. I think he would have been really done, as a backup role for Van Dijk and eventually take his mantle. But his dream team was Real Madrid, and I'm really surprised Real Madrid was doing business. I feel like if it was Carlos Ancelotti, Real Madrid would not do this much signings, business transfers. If Ancelotti was still coaching Real Madrid this season, but wow, we needed a center back. We have, Militao ACL injury. Alaba, who just came back from ACL injury, but he's injured. He's injury prone. He's old. He's not back at his best. Rudiger, who's also aging as well, but he's out injured as well right now. Um, Raul Asensio, who wasn't even supposed to get a single minute this season, somehow became Real Madrid's best defender this season. So him in the partnership with Dean Huijsen, I'm really excited to see. Depends how he uses the formation. If you're gonna have three in the back, if you're gonna have a wing back formation, or just two in the back. I think one of the Spanish players would need to be dropped. Probably Asensio would most likely be dropped and have a more experienced defender like Eder Militao or Rudiger. But I do want to see that partnership of Dean Huijsen and Raul Asensio, because that's that dual ship that can have Real Madrid set for years to come. But the rest of the players aren't here, so I'm gonna search them up. Alvaro Carreras has been, a left back I haven't noted for years now. He was a Real Madrid Castilla, or not, I don't even think, did he make Castilla? I'm not positive. He was in the academy. Sold to Manchester United, and Manchester United sold him to Benfica. Manchester United, they have a buyback clause, I think around, not sure how much, I think 30 million, maybe a little less. But his performance against Barcelona was just, he kept Lamine Yamal from doing insane stuff. Barcelona still went through. And people are saying, is he the right man for the job? I was a really big fan of him. I really love Fran Garcia, and, hope they're both given fair chances and fair minutes. Rotation's a key thing for me this season for Real Madrid. The depth, the rotation, something we didn't have last season. So I think, bringing in another young left back, Fran's 25 now, but fairly mid. They're heading into stages in their career where they need to perform. So Real Madrid will probably need to get rid of left back. But for me, it should be Mendy. People are saying Real Madrid should have went for a more experienced, more if you want to say better left back, you can. There's the Theo Hernandez, who's rumored to join Al Hilal for like 30 million. There's also, if you want to bring in Grimaldo from Leverkusen, who's worked with Xabi Alonso, and if Real Madrid are going to set that three in the back, wing back formation, he would be set perfect there. But Real Madrid are going for a former academy player. He just lost the Portuguese Cup against I forgot who it was, but he's a solid left back. Really excited to see. The deal's pretty much going to be on today. This Carrera's deal has been going on for a little bit now. I think it's for a couple weeks. So personal terms were agreed like 2 weeks ago. So this is a long process for Raul Carreras. All depends. The Club World Cup. They didn't find a replacement. Is he stuff like that. So we'll see. So Raul Carreras is pretty much a done deal for Real Madrid. But yeah, that's great. Another player who just today was pretty much confirmed. He agreed personal terms. Real Madrid went out to Argentina and try to get the personal deal finalized. And it's Franco Macentuno, whatever. 17 wonder kid. You heard about him for the past 2 years now. He's 16, was 15, scoring that free kick, just amazing from Franco. And a young talent. I thought it was a done deal for him to PSG, which I was kind of iffy about. PSG have so much talent, so much young white wingers in the team. Will Franco even get minutes? People are saying that he's not going to get minutes in Real Madrid, and I just think it's a whole different situation under Xabi Alonso. Carlos Ancelotti would not use Franco. He did not use Arda. He did not use Endrick. He did not use Nico Paz when we had him. He did not use a single player. And, Ancelotti had favoritism, but now for this new era around Madrid, I'm really excited for, Franco to come in the team. Does this mean Rodrigo gets sold? I hope not. Like I said before, I really want the season to be a depth rotational team. When players can come in and out almost every week, every other week. I was keen to every player to grow, every player to perform, every player to get minutes. And so injuries don't happen. So when Real Madrid have a formation and one player is playing than the other, we feel safe. We feel fine. Like we're not losing as much strength as we are. Like a Carvajal to a Vasquez, that's a situation that you don't want. As much as I love Lucas Vasquez, and as much as he's been one of my favorite players watching in the past decade for Real Madrid, he's not suited for right back role. He's a winger, and with this situation in Real Madrid, I want to be every position to be fine to have a backup. With right back Trent, Carvajal, perfect. Left back Raul Carreras and Fran Garcia. I feel more safer than what we had last season. Goalkeeper, Courtois, Lunin, perfect. Courtois gets hurt, Lunin can take up the steps. Center back role, Militao, Rudiger, Asensio, Dean, and Alaba. If everyone's fit and, we lose one player to the other, I feel like Real Madrid are fine in that role. The midfielder role, you can swap in a Bellingham for a Camavinga for a Tchouameni for a Fede, so much that into the team. Arda Güler, you want to add him in. Rodrigo for Arda Güler or Franco, and Endrick, Vini, Mbappe, Ibrahim Diaz. So that's why I like to see Real Madrid. So much depth into the team, so much strength. So when one player is missing, you're not going to lose as much. That's why I want for Real Madrid. And that's why I think Franco will be a key. He's going to grow under Xabi. He enjoyed this phone call that he had with Xabi Alonso, and that's huge. Another player, which I don't think is going to happen, it was rumored for weeks now, Angelo Stellar. People are naming him the next Toni Kroos. As much as, he's such a talented, just won the DFB Pokal. I don't think it's going to happen. He's a great talent. He 100% should join for me like a Dortmund. But there's just no room for Real Madrid. After this Franco, I feel like this pretty much just done dealed the Angelo Stellar rumors and stuff like that. Great midfielder. Hope he joins the top team. Hope he doesn't stay in Stuttgart for another year because he deserves to be playing top football. He will be in the Europa League on Stuttgart, but we'll see what will happen to Angelo Stellar. Always heard his name, never really seen him play. Seen highlights of him. He's a world class midfielder, but he 100% should join a top team out there after signing him. So I don't really have much about to say because, like I said, I don't really know much about him. Never seen him really played. People saying next Tony Cruz. Always heard his name, but just never really. And I just don't think the deal would happen because it's just too crowded in the midfield. Another player, which I do kind of want back. I've been saying forever. Nico Paz has been a player I have been looking at for 2 years now, 3 years now. Nico Paz was the Real Madrid Academy player, made it to Castilla, performing well. And when he got called up to the main team, I was excited. I really wanted him to get minutes under Real Madrid, and he did score Champions League, not as much, but he scored a Champions League goal. He's a Champions League winner, and I was surprised when Real Madrid permanently sold him. I was there when he scored against Barcelona in the preseason. I was in the stadium. Really happy to see him score. Thought Real Madrid were going to use him more this season, but they sold him off to Como, but had a buyback clause for like 8 million, or maybe a little more. But is it right for him to come back to Real Madrid? He's rumored. People are saying they pretty much. Fabrizio never said anything about it. They're saying that Real Madrid are interested in bringing him back. But since Cesc Fabregas is pretty much joining Inter Milan, will Nico Paz come back to Real Madrid? Would love to see it. But it all depends. Will he get playing time? I think he will. It's just the midfield stacked right now. I think he has to probably let go of like a Denis Ceballos probably. Just he's been a talent that we wanted for years to be a part of that Madrid squad, and hopefully he does. Hopefully he comes back in the team when we get minutes. For me, the best option is to buy him back permanently and send him on loan to another team, and maybe keep him in Como for another year to develop. Because he was Serie A's best young player of the season, one of the best midfielders in Serie A, and he deserves to be in the top team somewhere. So Nico Paz has been a player that I've been glazing forever. Now you can ask anyone I know. I've been glazing Nico Paz for a long time. But yeah, we'll see about that. I know I'm missing probably a player or two. I'd never liked the big rumors of like a Wirtz or a Alphonso Davies. Just never been a huge fan of that. But we'll see. I'm happy that the Real Madrid is going to approach this season with bringing in young talents, players that are not just household Galactico names. Besides Trent, that's probably a key thing that we did need though as in a team. But yeah, I'm really excited about this season. Real Madrid are in a situation with that season that they need to build up, and under this new coach and new players coming in, I'm really excited to see it. So hope you guys do enjoy it. We'll see what happens this season with Real Madrid, and yeah, I think this transfer window has been pretty good.